All right, good evening, everyone. I will call the November 25th, 2024 meeting of the Newtown Township Board of Supervisors to order. I will note that the board did meet in executive session at 6 p.m. where we discussed the following matters. With relations to litigation matters, we discussed 2 code enforcement cases. With regards to personnel matters, 1 employee issue, and the collective bargaining negotiations. With that being said, Mr. Neese, please call the roll.
Mr. Altieri,
Here.
Ms. Roberts Lycap,
Here.
Mr. Russo,
Here.
Ms. Chandless,
Here.
Mr. San Francesco.
Here.
Your solicitor, engineer, and manager are here.
Thank you very much. Now we'll move down to item 4, the moment of silence and pledge of allegiance. And we'll stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We'll move down to section 5, agenda. Can I get a motion to approve the agenda as presented?
So moved.
Second.
Motion was made by Supervisor Russo, seconded by Supervisor San Francesco. Is there any board discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Section 6, public comment for agenda items only. If there's any members of the public who wish to provide any public comment for any agenda item, please go up to the podium, state your name and address for the record. Let the record reflect that there is no public comment. Section 7, minutes, 7.1. Can I get a motion approving the minutes from the November 12th, 2024 meeting?
Second.
Motion is made by Supervisor Roberts Lycap, seconded by Supervisor Russo. Is there any board discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Now move down to section 8, presentations. Chief, Lunn. Oof, too many chiefs in the room.
Good evening. We have 3 different incidents we're presenting awards for tonight. First one is a Canine award. On Sunday, September 29th, at approximately 6:57 p.m., Officer Anthony Kyne and his Canine partner Boya responded to a St. David's Road and Paper Mill Road for the report of a lost child in the woods. Upon their arrival, they were met with the child's mother in the parking lot of the paper mill house. She explained that her son had gone out fishing earlier and had been missing for approximately the last hour. It was getting dark. He's a type 1 diabetic, and his cell phone was running out of battery. After obtaining the information, Officer Kyne deployed Boya on a short lead. Officer Kyne brought Canine Boya to the entrance of the park and gave her the command to track. Canine Boya began to pull hard left for approximately 100 feet before making a hard right turn through brush and other debris, which led to a small trail adjacent to the creek. Canine Boya continued down the trail where she located an unattended fishing rod. Canine Boya continued her track, nose to the ground, for approximately another 100 yards when Officer Kyne began to call out to the child. Officer Kyne heard a voice in the distance while Canine Boya continued to pull him towards the sound of the voice. As Canine Boya continued the track, Officer Kyne felt her pulling the lead harder, which from his training and experience indicated that they were getting close. A few moments later, Canine Boya stopped at the base of a small hill where they located the missing boy standing at the top. Officer Kyne then helped the boy collect his fishing gear, led him out of the woods so that he could be reunited with his mother. The incident is the perfect culmination of training and professionalism, which was displayed by Officer Kyne and Canine Boya. So in recognition of Officer Kyne and Boya's prompt and alert action, which resulted in a child being reunited with his family, we award him with the Canine citation. Our second award tonight is Life Saving Award. Harrison Nash, up here, please. Also, is Daryl Hamrock? Daryl got the ball rolling on this call. So we asked him to be here tonight so we could acknowledge what Daryl did. He got the ball rolling here. Harrison had a medical emergency out on Westchester Pike and went into cardiac arrest in his car. Daryl alertly saw what was happening and picked up the phone and called 911, got the ball rolling. If he had not done that, we wouldn't be here tonight doing this. So thank you for looking. On July 18th, at approximately 6:36 p.m., officers Dave Wilding and Tyler Vandergrift responded to a medical emergency in the 3900 block of Westchester Pike. Upon their arrival, they located an unresponsive driver in the vehicle, Mr. Harrison Nash. After determining the driver was in cardiac arrest, officers Wilding and Vandergrift removed the driver from this vehicle and began performing CPR. As a result, the driver later regained his pulse and survived the medical emergency. In recognition of officers Wilding and Vandergrift's prompt and alert action, which resulted in saving a life, we award them with the life-saving medal. Third award is another life-saving award. On October 20th at approximately 10:08 a.m., officers Dave Wilding and Joseph Yoakum responded to a call for a person in cardiac arrest at a home on duty drive. Upon their arrival, they were directed to the patient by family members. During this time, the patient's son had started performing CPR. Officer Wilding instructed the patient's son to continue with CPR while he prepared the department's AED, an external automated defibrillator. The AED was attached to the patient and a shock from the AED was administered. After the shock, officers Wilding and Yoakum continued CPR until the arrival of the ambulance and paramedics. Before the ambulance left for the hospital, the medics advised the patient had a strong pulse and good blood pressure. In recognition of officers Wilding and Yoakum's prompt and alert action, which resulted in saving a life, we award them with a life-saving medal.
All right, so we will get back to where we are. Section 9 reports, 9.1 report from the police department, Chief Lunn. I guess that has nothing else
That's
to.
his report.
That's perfect. 9.2 report from the fire department, Chief Young. Do you have anything to add? Thank you very much. 9.3 report from the public works director, Mr. Sharretts. Nope. 9.4 report from the director of code enforcement, Mr. Rezcheck. Anything to add? 9.5 report from the library director, Ms. Caruso. Anything to add? 9.6 report from the township engineer, Mr. Johnson.
Good evening. Of course, if you have any questions for my report, I'll take those, but I'll just give a brief update on two projects. Two capital
All right, hold on,
projects.
just wait, just wait. All right, Eric, go ahead.
All right, as I was saying, if you have any questions from my report, welcome them, but a quick update on two capital projects that are moving along. The paper mill house roof, materials were delivered last week and they started ripping the old roof off today and are continuing construction on that new cedar shake roof. And similarly, the municipal complex, the metal roofing materials are being delivered this week and the contractor will start with the installation of the metal roofing beginning of next week.
Any questions for the township engineer?
Bidding out. Weren't we bidding out to drainage projects?
Yes, so they are currently out to bid, and they are due the 4th in time for a decision by the board at the meeting on the 9th.
Okay, thank you.
9.7, report from the township manager, Mr. Neese.
I actually have a pretty short report tonight, but I wanted to let everybody know that the trees along Westchester Pike have been all installed. And we are moving forward with just kind of the cleanup, but it looks like they went in pretty quickly and I think they look really good, so.
They do look great. And so the microphone could hear a comment from the audience. He also said it looks great. So there you go. All right, section 10, fund transfer 10.1. Can I get a motion approving budget transfer 2024-01 as outlined in the attached document?
Second.
Motion is made by Supervisor San Francisco, seconded by Supervisor Roberts Lightcap. Is there any board discussion? All those in favor?
Aye. Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Okay. Section 11, payments. 11.1. Can I get a motion approving the certificate of payment number 1 for Joseph J. Danielle LLC totaling $116,198.44 for the stormwater improvements on Hansel, Martins, and Valley Forge Roads, leaving a remaining balance of $8,261.90 as approved by the township engineer.
Second.
Motion is made by Supervisor San Francisco, seconded by Supervisor Roberts Lightcap. Is there any board discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye. Aye.
All those opposed, motion carries. Section 12, 12.1, can I get a motion approving the bills on check register A dated November 25th, 2024, totaling $602,359.30. I'll make that motion as I review the bills. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion is made by the chair, seconded by Supervisor Roberts Lightcap. Is there any board discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye. Aye.
All those opposed, motion carries. Section 13, developer release 13.1. Can I get a motion approving certificate for payment number 7 for benchmark totaling $4,302.50 for the Stony Knoll project, leaving a remaining balance of $872,187.48 as approved by the township engineer. Motion is made by Supervisor Russo, seconded by Supervisor San Francisco. Is there any board discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye. Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. 13.2, can I get a motion approving escrow release number 1 for Equus Development LP for Ellis Preserve Phase 2A, 2B, and 2C project in the amount of $2,345,989.54, leaving a remaining balance of $653,463.88 as approved by the township engineer.
Second.
Motion was made by Supervisor San Francisco, seconded by Supervisor Roberts Lightcap. Is there any board discussion?
Mr. Johnson, can you tell us what this is?
Yes, so of the most recent portion of Ellis has been done, which consists of the apartment building near 252, the multifamily homes, and the commercial. It's broken up into 4 different groups. A, B, and C is the residential portions, including the roadways and the heavy stormwater and infrastructure improvements. And then D is the commercial, the catering center, the hotel, all the stores. To this point, for all of that work, no escrow release has been processed at this point. This would release a sizable portion of the residential section and still fully leaves all the monies for the commercial portion. They are at this point, they are down to really the only thing left to be built is a few of the actual residential homes. The rest of the site work, the hotel, the stormwater, all the roads, everything else is substantially complete at this point.
But A, B, and C is the residences, right?
The residences,
And the
yes.
apartment.
Yeah, that includes the apartment.
And that included all the pond work they just did?
A portion of it. So that pond work supports the overall development. At this point, that pond has been converted from the sediment trap into the stormwater basin. They're still doing some of the final restoration, but it is largely complete at this point.
Okay.
Is that gonna retain water, like an actual, or they're making that an actual pond like they did over by the townhouses, or is that gonna?
No, it should be, no, it should draw down to no. They
Got
went through a whole series of
what I
infiltration
thought.
testing, so it should drain down to no
Okay.
water, yes.
Got it.
I think the townhouses, after the HOA took over, they made that into a pond and they made that much nicer with the landscaping. That was the HOA, that wasn't the developer. And are we sure that we've got all our landscaping in?
So this is substantially in. So I have, out of this phase, John Hosbach did a few weeks ago, went and did an investigation and report. This still holds, the vast majority of landscape is in. He identified about 50 of the several thousand plantings that had to be replaced. This does not release all of the money for landscaping. It is I think it's about 80% of it.
And not to beat a dead horse, and I guess maybe I have to go and walk it, but every time I'm coming on 252 from Goshen Road and I'm headed toward Route 3, and where our pump station is, I guess it's that one thing
There's the
there.
pump station out front of it.
I see people who make their way there because they walk out of the parking lot and they make their way to the pump station and they walk down the driveway and they're on 252. I mean, again, I don't know where the connection is happening in that trail part. I mean, that's not, I mean, I've got to go back and look at the land development plan, but
Trail goes straight through from Winding Way all the way up to
but how?
Paper Mill House.
Through their property? Is that how the trail's supposed to go?
Yes,
I see people making their way somehow down, and I see it on a regular occurrence on a
the
Saturday.
trail crosses very close to the apron for
Yeah.
that driveway, but
Yeah.
it's.
So
all
maybe
along
we
the
should
street.
ask them to put some kind of sign or something to, because people gravitate.
Don't
They're
walk
not
on
used to walking through, like a property, walking on the sidewalk. I think maybe we should have a conversation maybe and ask them to do maybe a better job on signage there.
No, we can look at that. Actually, we'll be talking with them tomorrow. That's something we can definitely
Yeah,
look into.
it's just because I've seen people kind of, again,
Yeah, right. There
walking.
is, the trail does go all the way through the front and it does connect through, but if that's as easy as guiding people, stay that direction, that's.
Right, well, because you're not used to walking on private property
Mhm.
like that. It's not, and then you kind of get there and you're, okay, what do I do? Because we've got a great, because from there all the way down and then down Goshen Road, I mean, that's a beautiful trail. And all of a sudden you get to this apartment building and it's like, okay, I'm in the city now. What do I do? So if you can just talk to them about it, I'd appreciate it. And the sidewalk's done now, right? Along Winding Way to the traffic lights, you can cross at
It
the
is,
Wawa.
so. Not sure if they finished it.
I don't think the crosswalk.
No, that's not
the
it. So they
crosswalk-
actually, it will
I don't think
be,
the crosswalk's finished yet.
they actually
Okay.
went through, they have obtained, they did the design, they obtained their modifications, signal permit approval from PennDOT. They have the contractor lined up, so that sidewalk is being installed. That was actually not indicated on the land development plan, but it is being installed by the
Okay.
developer.
And are they gonna have signs that have pedestrian crossing, or is that something that PennDOT
At
has
that,
to approve?
at that location?
Yeah,
It's a full, they're putting in a full pedestrian signal at that
Okay.
intersection, yes.
yeah, it just feels,
With the push buttons, the ramps, the whole thing is going.
some
in,
of
yes.
these things feel uncomfortable as a pedestrian, so. Okay, thank you, sorry.
Not a problem at all. All right, so the motion was made by Supervisor San Francisco, seconded by Supervisor Roberts Lightcap. Is there any additional board comment? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All those opposed? Motion carries. Section 14, new business, 14.1. Can I get a motion approving the advertisement of the appointment of the Township Auditor at the reorganization meeting on January 6, 2025?
Second,
Motion was made by Supervisor Russo, seconded by Supervisor Roberts Lightcap. Is there any board discussion?
Mr. Chair, if I could,
Mr. News.
I just would make note that Unless the board is opposed, I would like to continue on with Mally. I know we've talked about changing, but with having the changeover and the finance personnel, it would be helpful if we continued one more year at least with Mally to do that, and they've agreed to do that. So that will be who we're advertising, but that would be the recommendation from the staff.
And I know that we like to rotate that out for obvious
Yeah.
reasons. So is this their last year on what we normally tend to do? Would next year be their last year? I mean?
Well, actually, their last year would have been last year,
Okay,
but because we've had the 2 years of changeover, it would allow our current finance director to get things caught up and where would they need to be, and then have a clean start going the other way.
okay.
Okay.
Any questions for Mr. Neese on that from the board? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carries. 14.2, can I get a motion approving the special event permit fee waiver request from Newtown Square Business Association for the annual tree lighting on December 1st, 2024 at St. Albans Circle totaling $25?
So moved.
Second.
Motion is made by Supervisor Russo, seconded by Supervisor Roberts Lycap. Is there any board discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carries. 14.3, can I get a motion approving the special event permit fee waiver request from Nicole DeBaton Robinson for the annual Toys Clothes Food Drive-Through donation drive on December 7th, 2024 at the Veterans Memorial parking lot totaling $25?
So moved.
So is there Supervisor Chandler? Okay, so never mind. Motion was made by Supervisor Chandler, seconded by Supervisor San Francisco. Is there any board discussion? I'll just note for the record that I'm going to be recusing myself from this motion as I'm on the Delaware County Veterans Memorial Advisory Board. Is there any other board discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? One abstention. Motion carries 4-0 with one abstention. 14.4, can I get a motion approving the hiring of Caitlin Sullivan for the Municipal Authority Director of Operations position at an annual salary of $90,000, contingent on passing all required background checks?
So moved.
Second.
Motion was made by Supervisor Roberts Lycap, seconded by Supervisor Chandler. Is there any board discussion?
Mr. Neese, this young, is this person taking work off of our current staff?
The ultimate goal is yes. She's going to come in. She'll be working in the area. She'll be taking some work off of me. Probably that'll take about a year before that actually happens, year and a half in training. But immediately that there should be some benefit in the finance department as well as helping George in his area as well, related to the municipal authority work that's being done.
This is somebody they interviewed themselves and they found?
This is somebody they interviewed themselves and found, but it will be a township employee.
Okay.
And they have agreed to the salary.
And just so everybody's clear, when we say they, we're talking about the municipal authority.
Municipal authority, yes.
The municipal authority conducted interviews. They're happy with this. And so in terms of process, because it's going to be a township employee as opposed to a municipal authority employee, we're hiring them.
That's correct.
And
And just real quick, the reason for that, as you know, your staff kind of serves as the administrative and field initial response team for the municipal authority. So myself, I serve as the operations manager. This person's going to be called the operations director. They will be working very closely with Tom, our finance director, helping to get the monthly work done there, but they'll be the one who becomes responsible, or she'll be the one that comes responsible for the basics of the books, but Tom will still do the reconciliations and those kind of things. So we have a segregation of duties. Then she will also be the first person on the line. Like if there's an emergency, she'll be one of those that reports out to that emergency and does that, and eventually taking kind of over the role that George does for the municipal authority in that way. Our public works team will still respond and still be the ones that do that initial containment. If there's an overflow or if there's a backup of any kind, it will still be the public works team, but she'll be the one that makes sure that the proper reports are filed with DEP and those kind of things.
perfect.
But it'll probably take a year and a half to get her fully up to speed because it's new for her what it is. But she has municipal experience. She's worked for the county and she's working currently for another municipality.
Any other board discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. 14.5, can I get a motion approving the resignation of Dr. Delia Archer from the Trails and Greenways Committee?
So moved.
Second.
Motion is made by Supervisor Roberts Lightcap, seconded by Supervisor Russo. Is there any board discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries, and we thank Dr. Archer for her service to the community. 14.6, can I get a motion authorizing the township manager to sign the renewal contract with Civic Plus, the township website vendor, at a cost of $14,377.45?
So moved.
Second.
Motion is made by Supervisor San Francisco, seconded by Supervisor Roberts Lightcap. Is there any board discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Section 15, public hearing. We will now move into, oh, Tom, tell me when you're ready. So it is 7:37 on Monday, November 25th, and we will now get into the public hearing portion. 15.1, historic property approval as a Class 2 historic resource. We have 6 Boot Road, 3523 Cayley Road, 4111 Goshen Road, 4727 Mill Hollow Lane. Now, 307 Earls Lane has been listed on this agenda. However, the property owner of that cannot attend the meeting tonight, so she asked that it be, oh, you are here. All right, never mind. They are available to be here tonight. Perfect. So since you're here with council, I'm assuming, let's do that one first. And we will start off with 307 Earls Lane. And Mr. Secor, do you want to kind of tee this up at all, or do you just want Ms. Cavalier to just jump into it?
Yeah, well, this is the process under our historic preservation ordinance. After the historic commission identifies properties and conducts fact-finding and determines whether property meets its criteria to recommend it be added to the historic resource inventory, we publish an ordinance, publish it in the paper, draft ordinance, we send it down to the law library, and then the neighbors get a mailing, because it's an amendment to the zoning map, and if approved by you, the ordinance adds the property to the zoning overlay district for historic resources as Class 2 resources. And that's why we're here. This is the actual public hearing that was advertised.
All right, Ms. Cavalier, floor is yours. Well, actually, hold on, Kathy, before you do that. Are you guys, how about we get your name on the record, council, and then you can tell us what your position is. If you guys are opposing it, then we'll figure out how we're gonna handle this. Just,
Notice was not received until recent as, I think, within the last week. So really what we're here today for.
real quick, can you just state your name
I'm sorry.
and your title for the
Yeah.
record and what?
My
firm
name's
you're with?
Bass Chadwick, and I represent Andrea Travaglia, the purchaser of 307 Earls Lane in Newtown. And the property was submitted by the previous owner for an application for the Class 2 historical classification in May. They listed the house for sale in June. Andy bought the house in August, and then we're just now understanding sort of where we are. We're trying to figure out where that process is. And given the notice that we just received, we understand that it's fairly far along. So ultimately what we're requesting, this is not my practice area, so forgive me if this is the wrong forum or the wrong ordinance we're citing, but our understanding is the board has the ability to grant basically a motion to stay for up to 60 days. So given the lack of notice and sort of the, unknowns of what the ramifications of the certification would be, we are requesting that we could get some sort of 60-day continuance just to understand the ramifications, determine whether or not, she wants to go through with the property reclassification, and sort of identify what's available at that point.
Yeah, so there's not going to be any objection from the board on this, so
Mhm.
your continuance is granted. If you need an additional 60 days, I'm sure the ordinance might say something with regards to what that time frame is.
Mhm.
Make sure you exchange communications or contact information with our solicitor, Mr. Sikora.
Okay.
That way you don't have to come back if you guys aren't prepared to move forward
We
in
can just
60
do it
days.
on, okay.
We understand and we've all been notified of the situation with regards to the prior owner starting the process and now the new owner taking ownership of it
Mhm.
after that process began. So if you guys need to, do some fact finding, get additional information, you're not gonna have any objection from the board on that.
Miss,
With that being said, it's not gonna be a blanket open continuance.
Sure.
So after that 60 days, again, I'm guessing you and Mr. Sikora will be in communication, and then we can advise, or we will be advised accordingly on how we want to proceed with that. But there's no objection to you guys continuing for 307 Earls Lane.
Mr. Chair, I would make a recommendation, making it 62 days, based on the calendar. I would put it back at your meeting for this second meeting in January.
Anybody have any objection to 62 days?
No.
62-day continuance is granted.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Thank
All
you
right,
very
thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
Yep. All right. And Kathy, I would also recommend that you guys exchange contact information as well, the property owner. All right, perfect. All right, Ms. Cavalier, and I'm sorry that I called you Kathy, but floor is yours.
So, there are remaining 4 properties to be listed. By the way, I'm Kathy Cavalier, board member of the Historic Preservation Commission.
I'm gonna give you a bunch of facts that you're gonna rely on. I mean, it ain't gonna hurt. I don't know if it's gonna be a defective process if she doesn't, but why not?
Let's err on the side of caution. So we'll get you sworn in, Kath.
I do. Marriage. I shouldn't say I do. Okay, so there are 4 properties. Leonard mentioned all 4 of them. I was going to give the commonalities to all so that didn't go into detail on each one unless you have questions, but I can do that.
I think a nice quick overview of all 4 properties.
So we're going to start with the fact, all 4 properties meet 3 or more ordinance criteria as historic resources. The criteria are listed on the applications that are on the agenda, and the applications are able to be brought up if there's a question on those. The 4 properties were listed in the 1984 historic resource. Well, that was one of the 4. So 3 of the remaining were listed in the 1984 historic resource inventory of Newtown Square, done by the Delaware County Planning Commission with the Pennsylvania State Museum and Historic Commission. All 4 properties were approved by the Newtown Township Historic Commission, the Newtown Planning Commission, and the Delaware County Planning Commission as meeting the criteria for inclusion in the ordinance. All the properties, applications were signed by the homeowners at the time when they were filed, except for the one on Earls Lane that changed hands. Actually, the one on Goshen Road, 4111, also sold and had new owners who I did visit and got authorization and signatures from them, that they are aware of the process. And they were told that by the prior owner as well. The 5 properties are listed in detail in the historic preservation book that I think I gave out at the last meeting. And 2 are showcased in the center fold of that book. Detailed information, as I said, is listed on each property. And I can, if you have a question on a particular one, I can just they're pretty detailed. So the one that is not listed in the Delaware County planning that was newer would be the Shimer Lap Mill Cottage on Mill Hollow Lane. And that was probably not at the time because it was thought that it was in Edgemont Township. If you've been at Mill Hollow, half of it is in Newtown and the remaining half at the back is in Edgemont Township. But it was part of the mill complex along Crum Creek in the 1870s, and there were multiple mills built up and down. That particular home was the cotton lap mill and the wheel, and it was converted to the cottage that it now is, but that it's the same structure, and actually the remains are still there by the creek. And it's Paul Seligman's home, so he's very much in favor of having it listed. 6 Boot Road is known as the Jonas Preston Mansion. If you're familiar with that, you see it off Westchester Pike. It stares right over Porsche. It's behind the dealership there, looking over, I guess, the parking area. And it's at the very end of Butte Road. That house is the last surviving unspoiled federal mansion in Delaware County. It was completed in 1805 by Dr. Jonas Preston, but it's thought that it was started much earlier by the owner. The basement had 2 large walk-in fireplaces, which he thinks were the original part and dated back to 1763. And it's, that was listed, as I said, by the Delaware County Planning Commission. It's beautifully maintained. It's beautiful inside. If anybody has ever been in it, it's one of the most lovely older homes we have. So the next one would be 3523 Cayley Road. Again, I'm not listing each of the criteria, but just know that they meet 3 or 4.
Yep,
or
we have the
more.
documents, yeah.
Okay, that's a Dutch colonial and it was built in 1768 by Samuel Cayley. It was part of the 80-acre Pennsylvania Hospital farm that much of that development there came out of. And that was the hospital. And that was the hospital for the emotionally impaired psychiatric patients. And that was all through, I think, up until in the 1900s. So there's a few houses that are all contained within that area and part of that. (4111) Goshen Road is known as the William Lewis House, thought to be built in 1697. So that home has multiple historic relevance during the Revolutionary War and an outpost, spies, all kinds of things. It's been beautifully maintained. It was restored by its prior owner. It just turned over to new owners who appreciate and are very supportive of having it listed. Trying to think if there's anything. That house actually qualifies to be on the National Register of Historic Places, and they will pursue that. The new owner is interested in pursuing that.
Thanks.
Okay, is that 3?
That's 4. Good. I think you did all of them. didn't you?
Okay.
Yeah.
It's so many.
All right, any
Okay.
questions from the board?
These properties were all advertised in the Delaware County Daily Times on Tuesday, October 29th, November 5th, 2024. And so that proof of mailing, be a township exhibit, and then the surrounding property owners receive the mailings and make that mailing list next to the township exhibit.
Are you admitting them into the record there, Mr. Scora? Without
Absolutely.
objection, they are so admitted. Any questions from the board? Any public comment? If you just go to the microphone and state your name and address for the record.
Robert DeStanislao,
Can you just spell that for the stenographer?
DISTANISLAO. And then one of these properties adjoins our commercial properties. I had a question as to, are these held to a standard of upkeep to maintain their historical significance? Okay, good, because I'm a little concerned about that property, but that's all I wanted to say. Or that was my only question. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any other questions from the public? All right. Any questions from the board? All right, we will jump down to section 18, ordinances. 18.1, can I get a motion approving ordinance 2024-10, amending township code to include 6 Boot Road, 4111 Goshen Road, 4727 Mill Hollow, 3523 Cayley Road in the historic CL2 resource map?
So moved.
Second.
Motion is made by Supervisor Chandler, seconded by Supervisor Roberts Lightcap. Is there any board discussion? Kath, as always, just want to say thank you to you and your committee for putting this together and for pursuing this under the ordinance. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carries, and this hearing is closed at 7:53. Tom, thank you very much. Always good seeing you. Have a good Thanksgiving to you. All right, Mr. Mancini. We will now move down to section 17, land development approval. So as we get the table ready for Mr. Mancini, we are going to move down to section 6.1, which is the presentation and discussion of the preliminary final land development for 4019 Westchester Pike, Rock Hill Real Estate XLP, the parking garage associated with the Porsche/Ferrari dealership. Whenever you're ready, Mr.
All
Mancini.
right, thank you. Good evening, members of the board. I am here this evening representing Rock Hill Real Estate 10 LP, which is the owner of a property known as 4019 Westchester Pike, tax folio number 30-00-02892-00. The lot is currently supporting a one-story building, about 8,500 square feet. I think there's a Lotus dealership in there. We're proposing to take that building down, and the initial proposal was to construct a 3-story parking garage with a roof parking, also having pilot houses for elevators. That structure would have been 54 feet, 1 inch high from ground level in the front to the top of the pilot house. Since then, we have decided to cut down the structure, and we have submitted a proposal of the cut down to the township staff and solicitor. Basically, it cuts the elevation front from that 54-foot 1 inch to 16 feet 2 inches. Basically, we're removing the second, third floor plus the roof parking on the third floor. The reason for this is basically the economics of the build. Also, there was concern from the township about the views of a very large structure. So we're in with a highly reduced structure, but all other aspects remain basically the same. The footprint is going to be about the same, but we may need an extra 10 or 15 square feet to fill in the gaps and round out the structure.
So Mr. Mancini, real quick, and I apologize.
Sure.
So just to make sure I understand this. So the original proposal was 54 feet, 1 inch tall,
Yes, sir.
and now you're reducing it, so the proposed revised one is 16 feet, 2 inches?
That's correct. It's basically first floor, and then the roof on this first floor will remain open with a 4-foot parapet wall.
Got it. And the plans that have been provided to the board up here, are they the revised ones or are they the prior ones?
Good evening. My name is Jake Packett. I am with Canine Associates. I am the civil engineering consultant for the project. The plan before you this evening remains largely unchanged as a result of these changes being discussed currently. From a plan perspective, you're looking at a slightly revised footprint, but the engineering elements do not change.
No, that's a great answer. But what I was asking, the hard copies that we have right now, are they the revised ones or are they the one that was previously?
No, they're not.
Okay. All right.
But-
But the only change is the height and the floors.
It's you're basically
Understood.
cutting down the building.
Understood.
When the applicant contacted us about it, we had a meeting, staff meeting on this end with the township manager, the zoning officer, the township engineer, and the township solicitor. And we took all the information that was being relayed about the proposed modifications and determined that because the footprint wasn't, it's a 10-foot or 15-foot footprint difference was de minimis. Since the footprint wasn't changing and all the other engineering aspects weren't changing, and frankly, the top of the building is not changing, in appearance, and it's still a 4-foot parapet, it's still all the same lighting, it's all the same criteria, it's just much lower. We determined that there was really no planning differences for making them go all the way back through it's only a benefit to the township.
Yeah.
To have the same structure, just much lower.
Yep.
And so we didn't make them resubmit all those changes. The approval, the proposed approval resolution before you is just approving the plans as they are on development and acknowledging that the actual structure itself will be this much lower as long as there's no other change.
I'm looking at a plan that I don't know what I'm approving. I see a proposed 3-story building.
Right.
I don't have an elevation. I don't know what
believe
this
you have an
looks like.
elevation.
I mean, and to approve oh, here, you're gonna approve this, but this is not really what we're building, so just ignore this. I'm a little confused, that's all.
Yeah, I mean, you don't have to do it. It was, like I said, from a land development standpoint, the footprint, the engineering, the stormwater management, the E&S controls, everything's the same, the entrances,
But I can't see the entrances because it doesn't show me an elevation, it doesn't show me it on site, it shows me it doesn't.
Let me ask this question. Do you have revised renderings?
Have a side elevation for the proposed lower building,
Okay.
but the footprint's basically the same.
Okay,
So let's take a look at that, and if the board's satisfied, then we'll proceed, and if the board's not satisfied, then we'll have a conversation about that.
thank you.
And all it does is cut off the second, third, and third floors.
I'm sorry, I'm asking questions when,
That's fine.
so this is an open parking garage?
What was originally proposed was an open parking garage with each floor containing a certain number of parking spaces, and the roof would have a 4-foot parapet around there. And basically it would be used for parking. The roof would be for parking purposes as well. And all we're doing is basically cutting the building at essentially where the second floor appears. That would be cut off at about the parapet level. It would be cut off at the floor level, and that would have a 4-foot parapet all around it. And the only lighting would be attached to the parapet, or nothing would be higher than the 4 foot of the parapet for security lighting or anything of that nature. It just cuts down the building, that's all. But the
The whole
footprint,
glass tower's gone.
yeah,
So is this a precast building? What is this building? Because the building you show here has like see-through fencing. This elevation here has precast buildings.
This-
They're all precast.
it will be all precast.
So back to the question, I mean, this is whatever the board decides that they want to do here. Let me know based off of the information that Mr. Mancini has provided, whether the board's comfortable with proceeding. I will state that the proposed preliminary final land development approval does state that in addition, the developer has advised that upon approval of the land development plans, the height of the proposed structure will be substantially reduced such that it will have only a ground floor parking and area and open, no roof second level parking with a 4-foot parapet wall, with the second floor to be lit by downlit sconces, so on and so forth. So if the board, that's how the draft approval is.
I don't know what it looks like.
Okay.
I don't know if there's landscaping. I don't know if there's,
Landscaping remains the same as with the big building.
So they-
Everything, the point I'm trying to make is everything to do with land development remains the same. Stormwater management, impervious, green areas, which has been increased. Yeah, can you show that?
Do we have purview on what a bill, I mean, maybe I'm overstepping what we look at, but, I mean, I understand, it's gonna remain the same, the footprint is, everything is the
Mhm.
same, but I thought we had a purview of what a building is going to look like. Is that correct, Mr. Solicitor, or am I overstepping?
I'm sorry.
Well, I mean, I'm not an architect.
Yeah.
I don't know if, like, is this building gonna, like, if I do this, right? Is that what this building's gonna look like?
I think they're all here they're all here to answer all those questions for you.
Well,
Yeah, please go to the mic.
Just go to the microphone.
Yeah, just warned you earlier.
You don't need to be sworn in anymore.
All right, it's a very logical question, and I'm seething. No, you're not, because I asked the architect for exactly what you asked. And he sent that side rendering, so I'll handle that tomorrow in our meeting. Yeah, but you're right, it's gonna look like that without the stair tower. So, yeah, to answer your question, yes.
And there's no parking on the roof, which was what was originally proposed.
Well,
There is.
but how
Oh, there is
it is,
parking.
It's only on the-
they've overstated, it's one floor. So there's parking underneath and now there's parking on top.
And it's got the 4-foot parapet that kind of is going to obstruct the cars parking. At least
Yes,
it's the
You
goal.
won't see
You won't
that.
see it from West.
Correct,
Which is what it was on the top floor of the
Understood.
originally
Yep.
proposed structure.
correct.
There's gonna be a
With-
concrete ramp that takes you up from the back of the property,
Whoa.
no elevator.
Correct, there's
And
no,
pilot house.
correct. So now you're going from the larger lot right on and the lower lot enters from below. So there's really, the ramp only connects the upper lot. You're very familiar with it.
Like this,
Yep.
it's all solid concrete.
So
Okay.
I'm fine with proceeding if the board wants to. What do they want to do? Okay.
Is this gonna be just like a, concrete color, beige color? What color is this building gonna be?
That has not yet been decided because we want to see what it looks like, but you can certainly.
Well,
warrant
no,
that
I'm just
with the
asking, are you gonna have it a
complementary.
neutral
Yes.
tone color? You're not gonna have it like, Ferrari
Well,
red?
actually, I did think it, yeah, come to think of it, it's this
No,
light.
no, you have the Ferrari dealer and Porsche dealer. What color is this gonna be?
Can't favor one over the other.
At any rate, that's a very good question, and I actually did pick it out. It's a light gray. It's not cement, it's actually a painted color, but it's gray to be coordinated. And of course, it couldn't take anything
Well,
away
what
from
I'm saying is
your
it's not gonna
buildings.
be blasting through the landscape.
Well, the
whatever
good
landscape.
news is,
You're
that-
gonna, it's gonna be a soft tone color, not a bright.
yes, yes, it is. And I'll go one step further. So on one side is Ferrari, Italians, and on one side is Porsche, Germans. They can't have their buildings upstaged, so it's gonna be very generic. Neutral, it's gonna be very neutral.
This year was forward, right? This year wasn't too neutral.
No, it wasn't, it's a little bold, and that's exactly why I chopped it all up, because these
Okay.
guys are exercising their chops in engineering. Couldn't afford it.
That's fine.
All right.
Yeah.
You know what I pay in taxes? All right, so,
Eh,
thank you.
We thank you for that,
Thank
Jack.
you.
Thank you.
All right, so it looks like we're all reoriented. So, if you want, Mr. Mancini, let's get back to your presentation.
Sure.
And, we'll take it from there.
As I said, all of the land development and land use aspects remain the same. Stormwater management, the same. Plantings, the same. We worked it out with the arborists, and if there's need for any additional buffering, we'll put it in there. We have the easement areas carved out already from the prior development. So that's good. Access, again, the same. The use of the rear drive-through that connects all of the affiliated properties and all of the affiliated dealerships, that remains the same. The only thing that was done, again, was to cut the building down. And that serves one other purpose too. There was a lot of concern about visibility from Boot Road, which we didn't think there was there, but upon reflection and other consideration, it removes that issue as well. So, yeah, it's,
So do you also own does your client also own like full pizza place?
Yep.
Yeah.
yes.
So, are you, what's the plan for that?
Just, if you're gonna talk, I need you at the microphone. Sorry.
We included a photograph of, or a rendering of the classic car center for you people that haven't bought your new cars yet, to buy your pre-owned cars. So the classic car.
You already
center-
got my wife at the Porsche dealership. so,
Exactly.
yeah.
So this is important because when you're coming down the road and it curves, this is going to be the flagship for our campus. So you'll see this.
Okay.
So instead of letting my architect expose his talents in my parking garage, we're gonna do it with talents as you're coming around the curve. Also, you'll be asked to let us have 3 flags there as well. Oh my God, yeah, as soon as you approve it, that thing's coming down.
Yeah.
Would you like to approve that now while we're here? It'll let save on tax time.
No, we're gonna stick with this one.
Just approve that, and then we can move on, get this thing going.
In the area, right?
I'm improving the area.
Aren't you building a house in the area?
This sounds good. So, yes, I'm paying more in taxes. Want to improve the area, and I'm building a house, yes, at 20 Boot Road. That's why I went on record to say is there a standard
Yeah.
about this home, because I'm gonna be 2 homes away.
Can I borrow that?
No, you can't. You may not
You're on
have-
the other side of the grass field where you used to put the cars? Your house is being built on the other side of the,
Yes,
Yeah.
right behind where the Porsche store is.
You can see it on the map that I just gave you. It's the
Right.
last
Yeah, I
one
know
on the
where it
left.
Yes.
That's
We
what
didn't-
it's-
I didn't bring a picture of that, but I can show it to you on my.
no,
phone.
it's fine.
Since we're kind of spitballing all over the place for things that aren't necessarily associated with the park and plaza,
Oh, I
but
just
with
had
the
a
overall
question.
development, and I'm sure there's a marketing reason behind this, but why Philadelphia? Why does it say Philadelphia on the side of the Ferrari?
That's a very good question, because when you have a dealership, you own the distribution rights to a large area. So Philadelphia, we own a huge market for Ferrari. So that's why Ferrari Philadelphia, Lamborghini Philadelphia, McLaren Philadelphia, as opposed to Porsche, the main line. So there are 9 Porsche dealers in the greater Philadelphia region. There were 46 Nissan dealers, where there's only 42 Ferrari stores in the nation. And there's only 26 Lamborghini, so to put it in perspective, so.
Got it.
So you own a whole region, so that's why the name.
Understood.
I know, I'm not giving the microphone back to Vince, so did that lower my taxes?
No, it lowered your legal bill. That's what it lowered. Yeah. Do you want
And I also want to put underground utilities, which I'm gonna pay for, because I don't want those wires obstructing my beautiful view.
That probably makes sense.
I'm gonna ask you for that. Look at Steve. You're gonna be here. This is job security. Look at me doing all this.
You look like a real natural before this board, and since when you move in, maybe you can run for it, and we'll have you seated there, yeah?
Thank you.
They're panicking.
Yeah. No, thank you. Is there anything else you want to add, Mr. Mancini?
Afraid to.
But you did,
It-
real quick, just to clean this up, so you did receive a recommendation from the Delaware County Planning Commission?
Yes, we did, and we agreed to abide by their comments.
And with regard to the fire marshal's review letter dated May 31st, 2024?
Yes, we did, and those comments have been resolved by our engineer and the fire marshal.
Okay, the township engineer's review letter dated June 27th, 2024?
Yes, we have,
And,
and they have been resolved.
perfect. And the Rockwell Associates review letter dated June 14th, 2024?
We have received those as well,
And that's the
and they
will,
have been resolved.
perfect. Okay,
Just to be clear, Panoni, their letter was updated to a couple times, but most recently November 20th, 2024. So, but he's also in compliance.
so the revised review letter from Panoni Eric, he's complied with that? Everything's will comply on that?
Yes.
Should be, yes.
And the fire marshal was updated September 12th, 2020.
So next time, we just need to make sure that those letters are updated in the packet, unless they came before that, or after that, I should say. All right, is there any, before we go to a motion, is there any public comment on this? All right, is there a motion?
17, or are we doing 16?
Well, we just did the presentation, so now we'll move down to 17.1. Can I get, yeah, is there a motion?
I'll make a motion, consider approving resolution 2024-30.
Actually, you know, what, Paul, actually, I have to, so let's do this.
16.
Resolution number 2024-30, preliminary final land development approval, 4019 Westchester Pike parking structure, park and plats. Whereas Rock Hill Real Estate XLP developer has submitted plans to approve its application for preliminary final land development for the premises at 4019 Westchester Pike, parcel ID number 30-00-02847-00, the property adjacent to the existing Porsche dealership complex to the west of the intersection of Boot Road and Westchester Pike, related to the demolition of an existing building to construct a 3-story, 18,650 square foot parking structure, access drives and related improvements as set forth in the land development plans entitled Preliminary Final Land Development Plan for Park and Plats, consisting of 15 pages, dated May 16, 2024, last revised August 30, 2024, and a Park and Plats Development Stormwater Management Report dated September 3rd, 2024, both prepared by T&M Associates. Plans. Now therefore be it resolved that the Board of Supervisors of Newtown Township hereby resolves and conditionally approves the aforementioned land development application and plans, subject to and conditioned upon the following. 1, the developer must comply with the following. A, the developer will develop the site in conformity with the plans approved by the board with the conditions herein, unless modified by the board or in the instance of a minor field changes under the land development agreement, as approved by the township engineer or other authorized township consultant. In addition, the developer has advised that upon approval of the land development plans, the height of the proposed structure will be substantially reduced such that it will have only a ground floor parking and area open, no roof, second floor parking, area with a 4-foot parapet wall.
Excuse me, sir.
So this has to be.
Yeah, we'll have to.
So the height of the proposed structure will be substantially reduced such that it will have only a ground floor parking.
What it says here is open. Parens, no roof, closed parens, second level parking, meaning the parking on the top is open without a roof. So it's not open, no, it doesn't say open, no roof parking. It says open, second level parking
Way I read it.
with no roof.
It's gonna say that.
Okay, all right,
Yeah,
I
I
just wanted to let you know, there's
Yep.
gonna be parking cars up there.
Yeah, it is parking cars. It's a second level parking, open.
But it's
with no
not
roof.
covered on the
Correct,
second.
there's no
floor.
roof. Right.
So
It was a parentheses, it wasn't a.
Just the parapet.
With the second floor to be lit by downlit scones with no poles or light fixtures above the parapet wall, provided all matters relevant to land development and zoning remain unchanged, excepting a de minimis change on the footprint of the building, i.e. a 20-foot increase in the footprint of the building, such as green area, site improvements, setbacks, access, internal cross easements, stormwater management, buffering, landscaping, and lighting. And upon confirmation by the township zoning officer and township engineer of same, the developer may make the modifications without further approval by the Board of Supervisors. The conditions of the April 18, 2024 zoning decision, the recommendations in the township engineer review letters, and the promises in the September 3rd, 2024 T&M response. The recommendations in the fire marshal's review letter and the promises in the September 4th, 2024 T&M response. The recommendations in the arborist review letter and the promises in the September 4th, 2024 T&M response. The recommendations in the EAC review letter in consultation with the township arborist and township engineer, which may be modified, such conditions in their professional judgment. The recommendations of the planning commission as set forth in the planning commission action memo and the representations of the developer and its agents at the September 26, 2024 planning commission meeting. The recommendations of the Delaware County Planning Department review letter. The trees, vegetative buffering along the eastern property line as referenced in the township engineer's November 20th, 2024 review letter under subdivision and land development, paragraph 2 shall be designed, put on the plan, planted and maintained in consultation with the township arborist. Any E&S measures will use natural biodegradable materials and no plastic netting will be used. The following requested waivers. Section 148-12 for joint submission for preliminary final land development approval. Section 148-43.B to allow HDPE stormwater drainage pipe in lieu of concrete and in the instance of the 2-yard drains, 12-inch pipes in lieu of the 15-inch pipes. Approval is conditioned upon further coordinating with the township for any slope and or construction of retaining walls to support the construction of sidewalks with construction on slopes greater than 3-to-1 upon approval of the township engineer. The developer will obtain all necessary sewer planning approvals and permits with the Department of Environmental Protection and the Newtown Township Delaware County Municipal Authority as applicable and will enter into such development connection and financial security agreements as they shall require. Developer will execute and file with the land development plans cross easement agreements with its affiliates for the following parcels. Delaware County Tax Folio number 30-00-02841-01, owner Rock Hill Real Estate 4 LP. Delaware County Tax Folio number 30-00-02847-00, owner Rock Hill Real Estate X LP. Delaware County Tax Folio Number 30-00-02844-00, owner Rock Hill Real Estate LP. Delaware County Tax Folio Number 30-00-02843-00, owner Rock Hill Real Estate Enterprises 18 GP LLC. The cross-access easement shall be in the form as provided by the applicant for engineer and the solicitor review, including the description of easement dated October 10th, 2024, and cross-access easement exhibit dated October 11th, 2024, unless changes are approved by the township engineer and solicitor. Applicant will comply in all respects with the applicable township codes, ordinances, and regulations, as well as any applicable county, state, or federal regulations, and obtain sewage planning approvals. Obtain necessary sewage planning approvals. Applicant will provide proof of permission and/or obtain signatures on plans and/or agreements to allow filing of same to the satisfaction of the township solicitor. Developer will execute a developer's agreement, financial security agreement, post financial security pursuant to the MPC and township code, execute a stormwater management agreement, and post any of the requisite fee to the stormwater management fund, $3,000, and fund an escrow for inspections, all prior to applying for or receiving permits, all of which may be executed by the township manager upon agreement of the township solicitor and township engineer. Preliminary final approval is contingent upon payment of all outstanding professional fees / escrow replenishment within 45 days of approval, except properly challenged in accordance with the MPC. The township manager is authorized to sign any agreements on behalf of the township as necessary to effectuate this approval. Approved this 25th day of November 2024 at a public meeting of the Board of Supervisors. And I believe that's Supervisor San Francisco's motion.
Second.
Motion is made by Supervisor San Francisco, seconded by Supervisor Roberts Lycap. Is there any board discussion? All those approved signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carries. Thank you very much and congratulations.
Thank you, members of the board.
Section 19, board comment. Is there any board comment? Section 20, public comment. Is there any members of the public who wish to provide any public comment? Please come to the podium, state your name and address for the record. Any public comment?